session we would be talking about the various marine resources. Now to start with, marine resources can be classified into two types. They can be either biotic resources or abiotic resources. Biotic, in simple words, I can say they are living resources, and abiotic are non-living resources. So the marine life, that is life under ocean, can be either living or non-living, and today we would be trying to understand all major resources which can be found beneath the ocean or on the ocean surface. That's the first important criteria when we try to understand the marine resources. They include both biotic resources and abiotic resources. Now, starting with the classification, we can classify marine resources based on three things. First is the biological resources. This will include all living resources. And if I want to further classify abiotic, I can say there can be mineral resources or energy resources. Now, we will try to understand all these resources one by one. We'll first talk about the biological resource, that's the major resource. Now when I say biological resource, it includes the marine biomass. So the three types we have included: the biotic resources, mineral resources and energy resources, and these two fall under the abiotic resources, while this is the biotic resource. Now the biological or the biotic resource or the biological resource, when I say, can be classified based on two divisions. One is based on food and the other is based on the living organisms. So when I say based on food, I can classify them as food and non-food. So food will include animals and plants, while non-food will include corals. That's a very fundamental classification. The further next classification, which is a very important classification, includes three basic type of biotic resources. First is planktons, nectons and benthos. So biotic can be classified as planktons, nectons and benthos. Now let's understand these one by one. Planktons are drifting organisms that appear on the surface. Now these planktons can be either as plants or animals. If there is the word phyto before anything, it includes plant. However, if there is the word zoo, it includes animal. A very well understanding that animals are found in zoo. So if I say zooplanktons, that means small animals that drift on the surface. If I say phytoplanktons, these are small plants or microflora that appear on the surface of the oceans. Again, word flora and fauna would be commonly used. Flora denotes the plant life, while fauna denotes the animal life. So if I say microflora, that means small plants. If I say microfauna, that means small animals. So all these fall under planktons. The next basic categorization is nectons. Nectons are large swimming animals. They are strong and stout with a good build-up. They are found on the layer beneath the planktons. So beneath the planktons, whatever layer you have, you will see nectons. Nectons can be further classified into three types. One is pelagic, you have demersal, and then you have migratory or endremous. Migratory or endremous is one and the same thing. So under pelagic, you would have tuna fish and mackerel as the main fishes here. So you have tuna fish, mackerel as the main fishes. Demersal, which is on the lower side, you will have cod, haddock, as the main fishes, and then you have some breeds which are migratory or endemous, which can live both in salt water and fresh water, and they move from land to sea. Under nectons, you have some animals that can live both in water and land, for example seal. However, some animals can live only in water, like whales. These whales can again be classified into two types, that is toothed whale and whalebone whale. Toothed whale will include dolphins, while whalebone whale will include whales like blue whale, and all these are huge animals that are found. Humpback whale would also be part of whalebone whale, and under toothed whale you will have mainly dolphins. So these are another classification that we can include for nectons. We have already talked about planktons. Now planktons we have talked about phytoplanktons and zooplanktons. However, there is another categorization for planktons that says it can be herbivores or carnivores or detrivores. So herbivores feed on plants, carnivores feed on animals, and detrivores feed on dead organisms. So that's another classification for planktons. Finally, we land on to benthos. Benthos, as the name suggests, are found in the ocean bottom. So bottom of the ocean you will have all the wildlife that would occur as benthos, and benthos comprise around 16% of the total fishes or the fish catch, I would say. Now benthos can further be classified into two, epi and in. Epiflora or epifauna, that's the animals or the plants. Epi means towards the surface, but this surface is not the top surface of the ocean. However, within the ocean bottom, the top layers would be the epiflora and fauna, and the lower ones would be the inflora or infauna. So that's another classification that we try to understand under benthos. Besides this, you have a kind of numerous algae, red algae, that is found usually in the regions of the upper layers, that's the photic zone. Now if I try to classify ocean into layers, I can say top 200 meters you have ample of light, and that is known as photic zone, because till that level in the ocean, within the ocean you have light that can reach. Then you have the next section which is dimly lighted, and finally you have the aphotic zone. Aphotic zone is the zone up to a depth of 4000 meters where there is no light. So you have no light in the aphotic zone. Now this aphotic zone can further be classified into three divisions. You have mesopelagic. So these are all classifications of the pelagic zone. So you have mesopelagic, bathypelagic and abyssipelagic. So abyssipelagic is towards the lowermost layer around 6000 meters. So this is around 6000 meters up to 4000 meters, and up to 1000 meters you have mesopelagic. So this is the further classification of the aphotic layers of the aphotic layers. Now we already talked about nectons. We classified it into two sections. One is those animals which can live on land and water, the other is which can live only on water. Benthos we classified as epiflora and inflora. However, there is another classification for benthos, that is littoral, subsurface and deep ocean. So flora that's found towards the surface or the shore of the benthic region would be the littoral. Then you have subsurface, and within the deep ocean, usually the deep ocean benthic is known as the benthos. You have the main vegetation or the main plant and animal organisms that can be seen in benthos. Now the next important section before we start with the mineral resources, there is an important activity that occur in this zone, that is fishing. Now fishing is further classified into two parts, I could say, or two ways. One is clupoid and gadoid. So gadoid is the deep ocean fishing, while clupoid is the surface ocean fishing, and it includes 45% of the fish catch, while gadoid includes 15% of the fish catch. The major fishes in the upper layers are herring and pilchard, while in the deep oceans you find cod, haddock as the major fishes. Now based on this, there are numerous fishing regions across the world. You have the three basic fishing regions as Atlantic, Pacific and Indian Ocean. So you have Pacific, which contributes to around 53% of the fish catch. Then you have Atlantic, and finally Indian Ocean with merely 5% of the fish catch. However, there are 5 basic regions that have been demarcated as a main fishing grounds of the world. First is the Northeast Pacific. You have Northeast Atlantic, Southeast Pacific, Southeast Pacific. I am sure you must be clear about the Pacific and the Atlantic Ocean. Just to give a rough idea. So this is South America and North America. This is Africa. So the region between Europe, Africa and Americas is the Atlantic Ocean, and towards this side would be the Pacific Ocean, that's between Americas, and the other side of the Asia you have the Pacific Ocean. So you have Northeast Pacific, Northeast Atlantic, Southeast Pacific, West Central Pacific, and finally the last important is Northwest Atlantic. So these are the major five fishing grounds of the world. Now moving on to the next section is the mineral resources. Under mineral resources, I can further classify it as based on two criteria. One is based on the location and another is based on the resources itself. So when I say based on the location, I can classify mineral resources into three types. One is those that are found on the continental shelf, continental slope, and then you have the deep ocean. So you have mineral resources that can be further classified into two. One is based on location and another is based on the nature of the minerals that are found. So based on location, you have further three classification: continental shelf, continental slope and deep sea ocean. While based on the nature, you have again three types of mineral resources that can be found. It is metallic, you have fuel resources, fuel means petroleum, oil, gas, and finally you have the construction material, that's the gravel, sand, and the metallic resources. Now if I try to understand the mineral resources, there are numerous minerals that are found abundantly in the ocean. Some of the common are monazite that are found as a placer deposits at the coast of Kerala. Then you have gold deposits on the coast of California. You have Oregon, California and Oregon and Alaska, which are major states of US, major territories of US, I would say. So you have monazite resources, then you have gold resources, you have rutile resources. Rutile is a kind of mineral which is found usually in the Australian coast, and it is oxide of titanium. Then you have cassiterite. It is in modification for tin. So tin resources are usually found abundantly in the regions of Thailand, Malaysia and Indonesia. Then you have phosphorites, which is found along the Peru, Mexico. So you have most of the South America, you have the phosphorites. So these are some of the common minerals. Besides these, A major resource is the manganese nodules that are found in the ocean bottom, and these manganese nodules are abundantly found in two regions. One is the Pacific Ocean and another is the Blake Plateau. So you have the Blake Plateau and the Pacific Ocean where you have abundant amount of manganese nodules. Note that it is manganese, not magnesium. Then again, ocean minerals that are highly rich is sodium chloride, that's common salt. So you have Na and Cl that are again abundantly present in the marine region. However, besides this, you have iron, lead, zinc, copper that are found in traces and distributed across the globe. Now, there are various methods of extracting these. The two common methods are known as airlift method and continuous bucket system. So, one is airlift method, another is continuous bucket system. Now the difference between the two is, in the first you have the compressed air that flows in, and once the compressed air is blown in, you have a kind of minerals that are lifted up because of the airflow, and you find mainly manganese nodules by this means. Then you have a continuous bucket system in which you have a continuous line of extraction where you have a bucket system to pull out the minerals. So these are the two commonly used extraction techniques that we talk about. Now we talked about minerals based on location, that shelf, slope and deep oceans. So deep oceans we already talked about. Manganese is a primary component that's found in deep oceans. Then you have continental shelf. Around the continental shelf or the subsurface region, you have mainly oil and gas extraction that is seen, and I would say around 90% of the petroleum extraction occurs in the region of continental shelf and slope. The major areas are the Gulf regions. You have the Persian Gulf, the Mexican Gulf, the Saudi Arabian region, where you have the extraction under the form of subsurface deposits that could be seen. Now the next and the last is the energy resources. So you have energy resources classification that can be done by two ways. One is the conventional and the non-conventional. So under the conventional, I would say those for which the extraction has been done over the years. So one of this is water used for hydropower, which is a kind of renewable resource. The other being the oil, gas, petroleum as the major resources. However, under non-conventional you have solar energy, tidal, biomass and geothermal energy. We can also classify this based on the mineral and the non-mineral resources. So under non-mineral resources I could say deuterium, OTEC, energy from osmotic pressure, tidal energy, oceanic waves and biomass conversion are the main sources. So when I say deuterium, it says it's by the fusion reaction that is formed by hydrogen. So fusion of hydrogen would lead to formation of deuterium. Then you have the OTEC, that is ocean thermal energy conversion, I would say. So you have the ocean thermal energy that is being converted, and it can be again classified as open and closed. So when I say about the open cycle, it's that the warm sea water comes up and it is mainly used for electricity. When I talk about the closed OTEC, that is the ocean thermal energy process, it would be mainly dealing with formation of ammonia, and that ammonia and ferron would be used for formation of electricity. Then next is energy from osmotic pressure, because of the difference in the salt level of the two water bodies. So you have salt concentration as S1 and S2, and the difference of this salt concentration would lead to formation of energy through osmotic pressure. Then is energy derived from tidal energy, mainly found in the Kandla port in India. That is one of the famous ports, and Nova Scotia. That's few of the major examples for tidal energy generation. Then you have energy from oceanic current, that is low speed energy, mainly converts into kinetic energy, and it is formed by movement of water. Finally, you have wave energy that helps turn the turbine and generate hydel power. And finally, biomass conversion, that is again an important energy resource that is seen. Besides these, you have ocean as a source of vitamins and drugs, or I could say medicines. So you have cod liver oil extracted from the liver of the fish, considered good in vitamin A for eyes, and that is again a major resource. You have numerous drugs that can be found from plant life and the animal life within the ocean. So these are some of the basic classifications that we have discussed under marine resources. So under marine resources, we have talked about three fundamental divisions, that's the biotic resources, energy resources and the mineral resources. We will be covering more topics related to sea level changes and marine pollution in the further classes. You can subscribe to our channel for any further updates. Have a good day ahead.